The sterile silence of the cryo chamber aboard the USS Vanguard was abruptly shattered by the hissing of seals and the whirring of motors. Inside, General Nathan Pierce's eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the dim light filtering through the room. His body felt heavy, numb from the long sleep, but his mind was already racing, searching for memories of the war that had raged when he was last awake. "Mira, report," he rasped, voice gravelly from disuse. The ship's AI responded promptly, its voice emotionless, yet somehow soothing. "Good morning, General Pierce. You have been in cryogenic sleep for approximately 102 years. Current date is March 22nd, 2494. The Vanguard is in a stationary orbit around Mars." Nathan swung his legs over the side of the pod, his muscles protesting. "Why was I awoken?" "There have been developments. Your strategic input is required." As he stood, steadying himself against the pod, the door to the chamber slid open. A man in a pilot's uniform stepped in, his face weathered but firm. "General, I'm Commander Jack Harper. I've been assigned as your liaison. We have a situation." Nathan nodded, taking in Jack's presence. "Brief me, Commander." Jack gestured for Nathan to follow him to the command center. As they walked, screens flickered on, displaying star maps and various data points. "We've lost significant ground, General. The Zeltraxians control most of Earth's outer colonies. What remains of the human military is fragmented." Reaching the command center, Nathan surveyed the holographic displays showing troop deployments and enemy positions. Another figure, a young tactical officer, approached, snapping a salute. "General, I'm Lieutenant Kyle Reese, Tactical Analysis. It's an honor." "At ease, Lieutenant. What's our immediate threat?" Kyle pointed to a blinking section of the map. "This is where we believe the Zeltraxians are planning their next major offensive." Nathan leaned in, examining the area. "Mars? They're getting bolder. Commander Harper, what's the status of our fleet?" Jack shook his head. "It's not good. We're down to a handful of operational ships. Most of our forces are in hiding." Nathan processed the information, his strategic mind clicking into gear. "We need to regroup and launch a counteroffensive before they consolidate their gains. It's now or never." Kyle interjected. "Sir, with all due respect, our current firepower is insufficient for a direct assault." Nathan turned to him, a sharp glint in his eyes. "We won't be going direct, Lieutenant. We'll use their arrogance against them. Set up a meeting with all squad leaders in 1 hour. We need to hit them where they least expect it." Jack and Kyle exchanged a look, the weight of the task settling in. "General, the crew will follow your lead. We've been waiting for a chance to turn the tide," Jack affirmed. Nathan's gaze swept over the command center, his determination unwavering. "This is more than a chance, Commander. It's our duty. Prepare the crew, and let's start planning. We're not just fighting for control. We're fighting for survival." As Jack and Kyle moved off to carry out his orders, Nathan stood alone for a moment, staring out at the stars. The war was far from over, and his journey was just beginning. But with a clear mission and a capable crew, the fight back to reclaim humanity's place in the universe was now underway. General Nathan Pierce stepped into the briefing room, a stark, utilitarian space filled with the hum of activity. The walls were lined with digital screens displaying various tactical data. The room was packed with the remnants of the human military leadership, their faces etched with the hard lines of prolonged conflict. Commander Jack Harper stood beside him, briefing the assembled officers. "As you are aware, General Pierce has been awakened to lead our counteroffensive. He brings experience and strategic insight crucial for our survival." Nathan stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the room. "Thank you, Commander. Let's get to the point. The Zeltraxians have spread through our systems faster than we anticipated. They're using advanced warp technology that we haven't been able to counter effectively. Our goal is to disrupt their supply lines and cut off their reinforcements. Without support, their forward bases will be vulnerable." A grizzled sergeant, Major Tom Edwards, raised his hand. "Sir, with all due respect, our fleet is a shadow of its former self. How do you propose we execute such a plan?" Nathan nodded at the Major's concern. "We'll need to be cunning. Hit-and-run tactics, guerrilla warfare. We can't outgun them, but we can outsmart them. Commander Harper, please detail the fleet's current capabilities." Jack activated a hologram showing their remaining assets. "We have 3 cruisers, 10 frigates, and a handful of fighter squadrons at our disposal. Most are in need of repair, but they're functional." Lieutenant Kyle Reese chimed in from the corner of the room. "We've also managed to salvage some drone fleets from the outer colonies. They're old models, but I believe we can retrofit them for remote operations." Nathan considered this. "Good work, Lieutenant. We'll use those drones as the first wave in our attacks. They'll serve as our eyes and ears, as well as providing a distraction for our main strikes. A young officer, Captain Lisa Mendez, spoke up. General, what about the civilian populations? There are still millions of humans living under Zeltraxian control. If we start hitting them hard, there could be reprisals. Nathan's expression hardened. Captain, we'll do everything we can to minimize civilian casualties. But make no mistake, this is a war for our survival. We need to take bold actions, or we risk extinction. The room fell silent as the weight of his words settled in. Nathan continued. Our first target will be the Zeltraxian supply depot on Phobos. It's heavily guarded, but it's a critical node for their operations in this sector. We take that out, and we disrupt their activities across 3 systems. Jack looked around the room. We'll begin preparations immediately. Each squadron leader will receive their assignments within the hour. This is a coordinated strike. Timing will be critical. Nathan concluded, this is our moment to strike back, to show that humanity will not go quietly. We fight not just for our homes, but for our future. Let's get to work. As the meeting adjourned, the officers dispersed, a new sense of purpose igniting within them. Nathan and Jack remained behind, poring over the star maps and battle plans. The war was indeed far from over, but with Nathan Pierce at the helm, hope was slowly returning to the hearts of the human forces. After the briefing, General Nathan Pierce and Commander Jack Harper made their way to the ship's hangar, where preparations for the upcoming assault on Phobos were already underway. The air was thick with the smell of oil and metal. Crews busied themselves with repairs and armaments, their movements swift and purposeful under the dim lights. Nathan paused beside a sleek fighter jet, its surface scarred and worn from battles past. Captain Leah Mercer, the squadron's ace pilot, was inspecting the navigation systems. She looked up as Nathan approached, saluting sharply. General, it's an honor to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about your tactics. At ease, Captain, Nathan replied, returning the salute. I hear you're one of our best pilots. I'm counting on you to lead the strike team. Leah nodded, her expression serious. We won't let you down, sir. These might be old birds, but they can still fly like hell when it counts. Jack gestured towards a group of engineers loading missiles onto another fighter. We're pushing hard to equip the fleet with everything it needs. We may be outgunned, but we'll be ready. Nathan watched the crew work, the resilience of his people bolstering his resolve. Tell me about the team, Leah. Who else is flying with us? Leah walked with Nathan and Jack towards a group of pilots huddled around a tactical display. This is my unit, the best the Vanguard has to offer. She introduced each pilot. Lieutenant Dan Rivers, a sharpshooter known for his improbable shots. Sergeant Mia Chen, a tactician with an uncanny ability to find weak spots in enemy formations. And Rookie Ensign Tom Briggs, young but eager, with reflexes that had saved his squadron more than once. Nathan addressed the group, his voice firm yet inspiring. You've been chosen for this mission because you're the best we have. We're hitting the enemy where it hurts, and I need you all to be precise and relentless. This is about more than just survival now. It's about taking a stand. Mia stepped forward, her gaze steady. General, we've all lost homes, families. We're ready to fight, not just for revenge, but to reclaim our future. Nathan's nod was one of approval and shared sentiment. We'll strike at 0600 hours. Use the time until then to double-check your gear and review the attack plan. Dismissed. As the pilots dispersed, Nathan turned to Jack. Commander, let's walk through the operation one more time. I want no surprises. They moved to the strategy room, where a holographic map of Phobos was displayed. Nathan pointed to a series of tunnels on the moon's surface. Our intelligence suggests the main ammo depot is hidden beneath these sectors. Leah's team will provide air cover while ground forces secure the perimeter. Jack looked over the plans, his brow furrowed in concentration. It's going to be tight, Nathan. The Zeltraxians won't expect an all-out assault, but they'll react fast. Our window is narrow. Nathan placed his hands behind his back, staring at the map. It's always narrow, Jack. But we have something they don't. Determination, and the element of surprise. We use that, and we can win. The two continued to refine their strategy into the night, aware that the coming dawn would bring either a new hope for humanity or utter devastation. Under the dim, early morning light, General Nathan Pierce stood in the control room aboard the USS Vanguard, his eyes locked on the real-time battle map displayed before him. The operation on Phobos had been a success, giving humanity its first significant victory in years. Now, their sights were set on a far more ambitious target, the ruins of New York City. now a major Zeltraxian stronghold. "General, all squadrons are in position," reported Lieutenant Kyle Reese, his voice steady despite the underlying tension. Nathan nodded, his focus unwavering. "Initiate the attack sequence. Let's remind them Earth is not theirs for the taking." As Kyle relayed the commands, the screen lit up with the movements of various units. On the ground, Captain Leah Mercer led the aerial assault team, her fighter jet slicing through the early morning sky towards the city. Leah's voice crackled over the radio. "Vanguard, this is Hawk Leader. We're approaching the target zone, engaging cloak and moving to strike positions." "Copy that, Hawk Leader. You're clear to engage on my mark," Nathan replied, watching as the blips representing Leah's team neared the heart of the city. Simultaneously, ground forces, led by Major Tom Edwards, maneuvered through the bombed-out remains of the urban landscape, moving stealthily to avoid detection. Tom's voice came through next. "General, ground team is in position. We have visual on the enemy installations, awaiting go-ahead." "Proceed with caution, Major. Air support is on its way. Hawk Leader, you're green to go." Leah's affirmation was swift. "Roger that, General. Engaging targets now." The room held its breath as screens showed the first missiles launching from Leah's jet, streaking towards the alien defenses that dotted what was once Central Park. Explosions blossomed across the screen, marking the successful hits. "Direct hit on primary targets," Leah reported. "Secondary sweeps commencing." Nathan turned to Jack, who was coordinating support logistics. "Commander, ensure that our medevac units are ready. Casualties will need immediate extraction." Jack nodded, already relaying orders. As they watched, Major Tom's team began their advance, utilizing the chaos above as cover. Tom's voice was calm as he updated their progress. "We're moving in. Resistance is heavy but manageable, pushing towards the primary control tower now." The battle intensified, with Nathan orchestrating movements and countermeasures from the vanguard. Leah's jets provided cover, weaving through incoming fire as they took out strategic points to cripple the Zeltraxian response. Hours passed, the battle raging with ferocious intensity. Then, Tom's voice, filled with strained relief, sounded over the comms. "Control tower is secured. We're setting charges now. Area should be clear in 5. Nathan allowed himself a brief nod of satisfaction. "Well done, Major. Prepare for extraction. Hawk Leader, cover their retreat." Leah's acknowledgement was cut with static as her team engaged the remaining Zeltraxian forces. "Covering now. All units, head to the rally point." As the final retreat was executed, Nathan watched the strategic map, noting each unit's safe return to designated safe zones. The control tower erupted in a final devastating explosion, signaling the end of the Zeltraxian command hub in the area. "General, New York is ours again," Jack reported, relief evident in his tone. Nathan felt a rare smile tug at his lips. "Inform all units. New York is just the beginning. Excellent work today. Let's start planning our next move." As the room buzzed with renewed vigor, Nathan knew this victory was vital. It was more than a tactical gain. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a beacon to rally the scattered forces across Earth. The war was far from over, but today, they had struck a meaningful blow against the invaders. After reclaiming New York, General Nathan Pierce gathered his top commanders aboard the USS Vanguard to discuss the broader implications of their victory. The control room buzzed with a palpable energy, reflecting the morale boost the recent win had given the troops. "Today, we proved that the Zeltraxians are not invincible," Nathan began, addressing the room. "We have momentum on our side now, and we need to capitalize on it. Our next steps are crucial." Commander Jack Harper nodded, his eyes scanning the digital maps displaying Earth and surrounding territories. "With New York as a base of operations, we can disrupt their supply lines across the Atlantic corridor. We've also intercepted communications that suggest unrest among the Zeltraxian ranks. They didn't expect us to fight back so fiercely." Lieutenant Kyle Reese chimed in, highlighting potential targets on the map. "These are their main logistic hubs. If we strike here, here, and here, we can sever their supply chain and isolate their forward units." Nathan leaned over the map, his finger tracing routes of attack. "We need to move fast. Organize strike teams for each target. Leah, I want you and your pilots to provide aerial reconnaissance. We can't afford to walk into an ambush." Captain Leah Mercer, fresh from her success in New York, was already coordinating with her squadron. "We'll have the skies covered, General. My team is ready to deploy at first light." As plans crystallized, Major Tom Edwards, who had led the ground assault in New York, proposed a daring addition. "General, while we hit their supply lines, we should also consider a PSYOPs campaign. spread rumors of their losses, exaggerate our victories. It could sow further dissent among their ranks. Nathan considered this, nodding slowly. Do it. Use any captured communication channels to broadcast the news of New York. Make them believe we're stronger than we are. The meeting continued with discussions on logistics, armaments, and troop movements. By the end, they had a clear and aggressive strategy to keep the Zeltraxians reeling. The commanders dispersed to execute their respective orders, leaving Nathan and Jack alone in the room. Jack looked at Nathan, concern etching his features. This is a bold plan, Nathan. It assumes they won't regroup quickly. What if they launch a counteroffensive? Nathan's eyes were steel as he replied, Then we'll be ready for them. We have to be aggressive. Caution won't win us this war. Right now, they're surprised and scattered. We need to keep it that way. Over the following weeks, Nathan's strategy unfolded across the globe. Leah's pilots struck fast and hard, crippling several Zeltraxian hubs while ground forces seized critical resources. Meanwhile, Tom's psychological operations caused visible confusion and discord among the alien forces, as evidenced by intercepted messages showing commands and countercommands that contradicted each other. One particular victory at a logistics hub in the Azores marked a turning point. With the hub destroyed, a significant portion of the Zeltraxian fleet was left stranded without fuel or ammo, easy pickings for human guerrilla attacks. Each victory fed into the next, creating a domino effect that steadily reclaimed human territory and restored hope among Earth's scattered defenders. Nathan watched the reports come in, each success a testament to his soldiers' bravery and resilience. Keep pushing, he urged his commanders. Every inch of ground we regain is a step towards our future. With Earth slowly coming back under human control, Nathan knew the hardest battles were yet to come. But for now, humanity was winning, and that was what mattered. The tide was turning, and under his leadership, they would not back down. General Nathan Pierce stood before the holographic map in the Strategic Operations Room aboard the USS Vanguard, surrounded by his key commanders. The atmosphere was tense, with the recent victories shifting the tide in humanity's favor. Yet an air of anticipation hung heavy as they prepared for what Nathan believed could be the decisive strike of the war. We've pushed the Zeltraxians back significantly, Nathan began, his voice steady and commanding. But if we let them regroup, we'll lose our advantage. Our next target is their main warp gate on Titan. Destroying it will cut off their ability to bring in reinforcements from their homeworld. It's our best chance to end this war. Commander Jack Harper, standing beside the tactical display, pointed to a series of satellite images. The warp gate is heavily fortified. It's surrounded by anti-air defenses and a battalion of their best troops. It won't be easy. Captain Leah Mercer, who had been instrumental in their recent aerial successes, chimed in. We'll need a precise plan. Airstrikes might not be enough this time. Nathan nodded in agreement. That's why we're going to use a two-pronged approach. Leah, your team will lead a feint attack, drawing their forces out. Meanwhile, a special ops team led by Major Tom Edwards will infiltrate the facility and plant charges directly on the warp gate. Major Tom, a seasoned ground commander, added, We've got the best demolitions experts in the fleet on this team. We'll get it done. Leah looked over to Tom, a determined glint in her eye. We'll give you the cover you need. Just make sure those charges are set. Nathan surveyed his officers, his gaze firm and encouraging. This is the moment we've been preparing for. Success here could very well mean the end of their presence in our system. Failure is not an option. The room filled with a renewed sense of urgency as the commanders went about their final preparations. Over the next hours, the USS Vanguard became a hive of activity, with everyone from pilots to engineers working tirelessly to ensure the mission's success. As the 0 hour approached, Nathan visited the hangar deck, where Tom's team was gearing up. He clapped Tom on the shoulder, a silent show of support and confidence. Bring our people home, Tom. Tom nodded, his expression resolute. We won't let you down, sir. The assault began at dawn. Leah's squadron took to the skies, engines roaring as they headed toward Titan. As expected, their approach triggered the Zeltraxian defenses, lighting up the sky with bursts of anti-air fire. Meanwhile, cloaked in the chaos, Tom's team, aboard stealth shuttles, slipped through the enemy perimeter and landed a short distance from the warp gate. The team moved quickly and quietly, using the rough, icy terrain of Titan to cover their approach. Back on the Vanguard, Nathan monitored the progress closely. Every heartbeat felt like an eternity as he waited for updates from the ground. Finally, Tom's voice crackled over the comm. "General, we're in position. Setting the charges now." "Understood, Major. Get clear as soon as you're done. Leah, how's it looking up there?" Leah's voice was tense but controlled. "It's getting hot, General, but we're holding them off. Just need a few more minutes." The critical minutes passed with intense exchanges of fire between Leah's squadron and the Zeltraxian fighters. Then, a triumphant shout broke through the comm. "Charges set. We're moving out," Tom announced. "Everyone clear the blast radius," Nathan ordered. "Leah, bring your team home." As the Special Ops team retreated to safety, the charges detonated, sending a massive shockwave through the Zeltraxian defenses. The warp gate, a towering structure of alien technology, crumbled into ruins, its destruction marking a significant victory for humanity. Cheers erupted aboard the Vanguard, and Nathan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The war wasn't over yet, but they had dealt a crippling blow to the Zeltraxian war effort. Now, more than ever, victory was within reach. The destruction of the warp gate on Titan marked a turning point in humanity's struggle against the Zeltraxians. But the aliens were not yet defeated, and in response to their devastating loss, they launched a desperate and brutal counteroffensive. General Nathan Pierce knew that the next battle would likely be one of the most critical of the entire war. As the USS Vanguard orbited Earth, Nathan and his commanders assembled in the war room, plotting their next move. The holographic map in the center of the room displayed troop movements and incoming enemy fleets, the situation increasingly dire. "General, we've intercepted communications. The Zeltraxians are amassing their remaining forces for a full-scale assault. They're aiming to take back New York and establish a new command center," reported Commander Jack Harper, his face etched with concern. Nathan nodded grimly. "We can't let that happen. If they regain a foothold on Earth, all our efforts will have been for nothing. We need to meet their force with our full strength. Prepare all units for a ground defense." Captain Leah Mercer, who had been instrumental throughout their campaign, added, "My squadron can run sorties around the clock. We'll keep them off our backs from the air." Major Tom Edwards, still bearing the marks of the last mission, spoke up. "I'll take the ground forces. We'll hold the line at all costs." The room filled with the resolute energy of leaders ready to defend their home at any cost. Plans were rapidly finalized and orders were sent out. The coming battle would be a testament to humanity's resilience. As the Zeltraxian forces approached, the skies above New York darkened with their ships. On the ground, human troops took their positions, fortifying barricades and setting up defensive emplacements. Nathan watched from the command center aboard the Vanguard, coordinating the defense with precision. The battle commenced with the roar of engines and artillery. Leah's fighters swooped through the enemy ranks, their missiles finding their marks and tearing through alien ships. Below, Tom led the ground troops, pushing back against the waves of Zeltraxian soldiers attempting to land. "This is Vanguard Command to all units. Hold your positions. We push them back here." Nathan's voice was a clear, rallying cry over the comm. Hours into the battle, the tide seemed to be turning in humanity's favor, but the Zeltraxians were relentless. A massive enemy dreadnought broke through the aerial defense, deploying troops directly into the heart of New York. Seeing the breach, Nathan made a split-second decision. "Jack, take command. I'm going down there." Before Jack could protest, Nathan was already boarding a dropship, descending rapidly to the heart of the city. Landing amidst the chaos, he joined Tom and his men on the front lines, firing and maneuvering through the devastated streets. "General on the field," Tom shouted, rallying the troops as they tightened their formation around Nathan. Together, they pushed forward, repelling the Zeltraxian forces with fierce determination. Nathan was in the thick of it, leading not just with orders, but by example. As the battle wore on, casualties mounted, but the human forces held their ground. Finally, with a concerted push, they managed to destroy the enemy dreadnought, using a combination of ground-based missiles and close aerial bombardments. Exhausted, battered, but victorious, the soldiers cheered as the last of the alien forces retreated. Nathan, standing amidst his troops, felt a profound sense of pride and relief. They had held their ground, protected their home, and turned what could have been a desperate last stand into a resounding victory. As the dust settled, Nathan looked around at the faces of his soldiers, knowing that while the war might not be over, this battle had proven that humanity would never give up, would never be conquered. They were ready for whatever came next, united and stronger than ever. In the aftermath of the monumental victory in New York, a sense of profound relief and cautious optimism spread among the human forces. The Zeltraxians, having suffered severe losses, began a full retreat from Earth's major strongholds. General Nathan Pierce stood on the rubble-strewn streets of the city, surrounded by his commanders and soldiers, all sharing in the collective triumph and mourning the sacrifices made. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting long shadows and warm light over the scarred city, Nathan addressed his weary but victorious troops. This battle was won not just by arms, but by the indomitable spirit of every man and woman who stood firm against the tide. Today, we begin the task of rebuilding, not just our cities, but our lives. Commander Jack Harper, who had been by Nathan's side throughout the campaign, nodded in agreement. We've got a long road ahead, but for the first time in years, it feels like we're walking it on our own terms. In the weeks that followed, delegations from surviving human colonies across the solar system arrived on Earth to participate in the reconstruction effort and to lay the groundwork for a unified human government. Nathan was at the forefront, not just as a military leader, but as a symbol of renewed hope and resilience. Leah Mercer, now promoted to colonel, led the efforts to secure Earth's airspace and to rebuild the global defense network. "We've learned hard lessons," she said during a strategy meeting, "but we emerge stronger, more connected. We'll be ready for any future threats." Major Tom Edwards took charge of training the next generation of ground forces, instilling in them the tactics and values that had led to their recent victories. "We fought for our home," he often said to his recruits. "Now we must be guardians for peace." Nathan's role evolved as he worked tirelessly to bridge the gaps between military and civilian priorities. His leadership was pivotal in establishing a new Earth Council, aimed at ensuring that no community felt isolated or unprotected again. Months turned into a year, and the scars of war began to heal. Cities were rebuilt, green spaces returned, and families reunited. The anniversary of the battle was marked by a global celebration, memorials for the fallen, parades for the living, and a collective look forward to the future. Standing before a large crowd in New York, now fully restored, Nathan gave a speech that was broadcast worldwide. "1 year ago, we stood on the brink. Through unity and courage, we pulled ourselves back. Let this city be a testament to what we can achieve together. Let us move forward, not forgetting our past, but building on its lessons." As night fell, lights illuminated the skyline, a symbol of Earth's enduring spirit. Nathan, looking out over the city, felt a sense of accomplishment and peace. The war had brought unimaginable hardship, but it had also brought out the best of humanity: courage, innovation, and a drive to protect and cherish their home. Though challenges lay ahead, Nathan knew that as long as they stood together, they could face anything. Humanity had not just survived, it had thrived, and it would continue to do so. The era of rebuilding was just beginning, and it promised new adventures, new growth, and a new legacy for all of humankind.